Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. Very excited for today's interview. She is a media personality, mentor, and trainer. And what she does is she helps people get seen, get known, and get business. Very excited to be rocking out today with Janette Burke. Janette, are you ready to rock?
I am, Tim. So great to be here with you.
Awesome. Great to be with you too. So tell me a story of success. We're going to start off on a good note.
Okay. You want a personal story of success or you want one of my clients?
Something that can be inspiring to someone who might be thinking about starting their home business.
Okay. So let's do mine. Okay. So I started life out many years ago as a publicist. And that meant I was putting my clients in the media, print, radio, TV, internet, any combination, whatever we could get. But I felt that something was missing. And that really became more apparent as I embarked on my own media and speaking tour, which had me doing many appearances on TV, podcasts. I was written about. I had my own column in a publication in the Toronto area called the York Region Business Times, which is unfortunately no longer in business. But at the time, the column was once a month, 800 to 1,000 or so words, which, as you know, that's a lot of space that would normally be charged ad dollars. And I had it 4 years in a row, either on the front cover or the back cover, which is primo property, primo space. So I was doing all these things, and I was a front person for my company, like a I guess you could say a spokesperson. I'm out doing all these interviews and I'm realizing every single time that something's missing, something's missing. As good a publicist as I was, I felt better strategizing what we were going to send out to the media or speaking bureaus to pitch the clients with, and formulating their hooks and angles for their stories or their speeches, and actually preparing them to be on camera on stage. It felt better for me. It was more rewarding, it was more fulfilling. And it led to me, having somebody else working with me who followed my lead to actually do the pitching and getting the placements. And I would just basically give her a list every day and say, look, this is the hook and the angle. Here's the press release. Here's the media kit. Get me this, and this, whatever you can, and or speaking gig, and let me know what you secured at the end of the day, right? So I left that part behind. And I went ahead and I'm doing all my media touring and my speaking, and I'm feeling much more confident and much more happy and more like true to my authentic self. And actually, that all really came to fruition when, after I had been a guest on a show, as soon as the show ended, and I was there to talk about PR, they offered me my own segment. And eventually that led to me being a co host of the network's flagship show. And so I started to come into my own, and I realized that even though I'm trained as a PR person, I have a background in publicity, I also have a journalism background, and I fuse them together with a bit of business and a bit of marketing. I realized that this was really more where I belonged. So why is this a good success story? Because you got to be authentic in business, and you got to do what is right for you and why you have where your strengths are shown. So for me, that was it. Now, when I left the studios behind, because I started there, I went to that studio, jumped to another studio, started my own show, and it went through some morph, and then I went to another studio. And as I was working with these studios, I also became increasingly unhappy. And the reason is that I wasn't allowed to do anything for myself. Like even my own show, I got to show it through their website or their
Yep.
links or their network. It was nothing for Jack, even though I was the one who took risks. And we got to go to TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival. We got to do this. We got to show our presence. We got to be. And they were very not really supportive of that. In fact, they wouldn't even give me a camera. I had to pay to get a camera guy to come with me, right? Which I was willing to do because I wanted to take those risks. And at the end of the day, I left those studios behind. I had 700 people following me on Facebook. And I had a very small YouTube channel with a couple of videos. flash forward. I just started season 11 of Janette's TV and podcast last Friday with actor Joshua Jackson, who we might remember from Dawson's Creek, The Affair, Mighty Ducks, and now he stars in a new show on NBC and Showcase called Dr. Death. So, what I'm trying to tell you also is that you can build your dream. Yes, it's a lot of hard work. I mean, I have now developed my following to over 5 million worldwide, predominantly women 30 to 55. We have men too. And I built my dream of having a lifestyle TV show on the internet because at the time, the internet was my only option. I didn't have money to go start a new um, studio or to compete against Bell or Rogers or Shaw in Canada or NBC or CBS or NBC in the States. And I wanted to be known. So I had to use the medium of internet and it was the way to go. And yes, I was one of the original streamers. I was a little bit of a rebel with a cause in my industry, but I took a calculated risk and it paid off. So, like I said, now I just started season 11. I have a well over 5 million following. Was it work? You bet your buns it was. I had to promote like crazy and I had to come up with content all the time. But if I didn't take that risk, and even going back to like saying, look, we got to go to TIFF, I would not be interviewing A-list celebrities and thought leaders and game changers and influencers and experts on lifestyle issues today, right? Because we all have to start somewhere.
Wow. Wow. That does seem very inspiring to someone. That's amazing that you went through all that and even the pushback as well. Good, great job. Thank you for sharing the story. Now, I'm wondering
You're
though,
welcome.
because one of the things we like to kind of balance those good stories out with is also the bad note, because we are going to hit some bad notes along the way. So I'm wondering, in that entire journey, I bet you there was a few things that didn't go as planned. And I'm wondering, can you share
Oh,
something
just
with
a
us about
few.
that? Yeah.
Just a few. There was only how many nights that I spent crying my eyes out thinking I wasn't going to survive and where's the money going to come from? And I've had those moments. Um, so when decided, okay, I'm going to take over production of my own show. I'm leaving the studios behind. That was also a big risk. And I didn't know if it was going to work out or not. And just to get that going, like, I mean, the research, I had to find a crew, I had to hire videographers, I had to hire other team members. I had to build a business now and a brand all on my own with like nothing to sort of rely on, right? Because I didn't have the big network behind me, which also meant I didn't have the big sponsorship dollars behind me either.
Yep.
So it kind of forced me to get creative, and that's a plus. But the downside of it was a very difficult journey. I encountered a lot of problems. One of the first problems I encountered was a lack of support, and that came even from the journalist community and fellow media people who were like, I don't know what you're doing, Jeanette, but you seem a little like off, and they were not supportive of me jumping the gun and using the internet as my network, right?
Yep.
And that led me to 7 years with no TIFF media accreditation. I have it now, but I didn't have it for 7 years. And that was sort of my punishment. But you know what? I didn't care because I still got those interviews. I just had to find a different way to get them. Like if I couldn't be media accredited to stand on the red carpet, I had to find a different way. So I started to go to the parties, like Hello Canada party and all that, where, the expression, if you can't beat them, join them. Well, they were there and I found them and I got on those red carpets and I did what I had to do to get this going, right? And it was a lot of planning, but you know what? It was also a lot of adjusting. And I'm even going to tell you that now, in the last few years, even with COVID, there's been a lot of adjusting. Pre-COVID, I was pretty much a local business helping local businesses get known. Now I'm an international business. So, okay, let's qualify something. I was an international business from the exposure side from using the internet that people knew about my show and my podcast, which I just started at just before the pandemic started. I'm already getting like 1,500 downloads an episode. But I wasn't an international business for the mentoring side, the media mentoring and training side of my business. That was pretty much local. A lot of the filming we were doing pre-COVID was predominantly in a studio or studio-like setup or live on location where we brought the cameras to you. Then for quite a while through COVID, I wasn't allowed to do that. So once again, got to get creative. So I had to create a studio in my home. Was it the caliber of studio that I wanted? No. Did I even know how to film my own stuff? Not really, because I was used to having my videographers on hand. But I learned, and I learned quickly. And was it perfect the first few times? No, it was not perfect the first two times. Did I care? No, I did it anyway. And every time I did it, I got better. So yes, there's been a lot of, and even like to survive and where am I going to get revenue from? That has gone through a lot of creative motion too, right? So I now have, you know, uh, I have like a one-to-one media training offer. I have something new that I created throughout the pandemic, which also I needed a stomach that could hold down anything to get through. Um, I created a course, which is kind of like a group training program called Janette's one-to-one Janette's Media Training Academy, an 8-week course. We have my fall cohort sold out, but we're going to be doing intake for the winter session. And, I'm already saying get on the waiting list now. Well, time and space remain because I don't take a lot of people into the course. I purposely keep it on the smaller side so I can be more hands on and really give attention. And it's not a course where you're going to watch a bunch of videos and be self directed doing homework. This is me with you in the process. So it really is more like a university course taught by me with you online. And then I also had to create a sponsors package, which I had tried that in the past, but now I resurrected it and I fixed it over. So that's also available. We call that Jeanette Sponsor Spotlight package, where you can be a sponsor of Jeanette's TV and podcast. You get the interview, you get a whole bunch of things. It's a very exhausted list. It's a great offer. And it's really great for somebody who really wants to get seen, get known, and get business. And of course, I welcome individuals to visit my website and book a 15-minute free discovery session with me, and we can talk about all these offers and we can see which is the right fit for you.
Wow. You mentioned earlier that when you first started putting these videos out, especially in your home studio, that they weren't perfect, but you put them out anyway. And one of the things that I like to talk about is practice makes progress rather than practice makes perfect. And with all your experience and where you were before, I imagine that, you must have be some sort of a perfectionist in some ways of going like, okay, I know what it needs to look like. How are you okay with putting something out that wasn't up to your standards?
Okay, so that's a really good question because at first I wasn't, I was a little bit embarrassed because you make a good point. I was used to the highest caliber of production and I wasn't managing that, right? I had people to take care of that for me. It was so much easier that all I had to do was, get the interviews ready and know what I was going to say, pick out the outfits, show up to the set, get mic'd and basically change outfits and do my interviews, right? It was so much less pressure. But then when you take it home and create your own studio, now I'm wardrobe mistress, hair and makeup mistress. Thank God I grew up in the clothing business. My mother was a makeup artist, right? Uh, my bedroom is my dressing room. My closet is my wardrobe, and I'm not getting the sponsors giving me the clothes. It was all a lot of change all at once. And then I have to now set up before an interview. I didn't really know how to do that, right? I have to set up, I have to check framing, lighting, sound, all these things, right? And make sure I'm looking at the camera properly, because when you're when you're having interviews on set, in a studio, the guest is to look at you, and the camera is like a fly on the wall capturing this conversation. It's the complete opposite when you're doing split screen style interviews like this. I had a tendency to want to talk to the person, because I thought, look, watch me, I'm doing this on purpose, okay? I thought, oh, I'm talking to Tim, I'm going to look at Tim, but I have to keep my eye on that camera and still talk to Tim, right? Which I had to adjust. I had to adjust my neck and the movements. I was getting constantly pain in my neck. It was going out. I was at the, going in for massage because I can stand it, and when they allowed that, and just trying different settings with different backgrounds in my home to make sure it looked good, to make sure I had light by a window for some natural light, as well as the ring light and the studio light, and and working with minimal equipment, because I did not have the um same amount of equipment that the studios carry. I had a very minimal home studio setup, and I didn't want to really invest too much. I wanted to sort of wait it out, because we didn't really know in the beginning how long this COVID was going to last, right? So I thought to myself, well, I could be back in the studio in 6 months. This is going to go to waste. So I was very careful what I added. So I had my external mic. I have, you know, uh, a couple of tripods. I had the studio light. I had the ring light. I had an external web camera, um some other little things to
Yeah.
enhance, but I had to play with it, and I had to keep doing it until I got it right. So initially, when they did the first couple of split screen interviews, they were not perfect. And yes, and a part of me was like, oh, when you go to my YouTube channel, you see my other playlist, this isn't gonna hold up. It's not as good. It doesn't look as good. And it was bugging me. Yes, it was. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it wasn't. In fact, I would cry a little, especially when, some people can be mean, right? You get
Oh
comments
yeah.
on
Yeah.
YouTube or Facebook, whatever, and they're trashing me. And it's like, do you realize how hard this is for me and how much I'm just trying to keep going? And that's really the key, Tim. You got to keep going, even if it's not perfect, because, like I said, I got it right now. I got a nice background. I got the framing. I got the lighting. Everything came in place. The first couple maybe a little off, right? But I did it, and I kept going, and I kept trying. And that's really what it is, because you can either, let it all get to you and give up, or you can make the necessary adjustments and improve and continue to live your dreams. It's really your choice, right?
Yeah.
We got to learn sometimes to phase it out. Everybody has an opinion. If I listened to every negative naysayer and their opinions, I would have been finished long ago.
Yeah. Well, they do say that there's always balance, right? So if you are looking for diehard fans, you're also going to have diehard haters as well on the other side. So it's just a matter of who you're going to listen to, right? And I'm sure that you probably had some nasty comments, but
Oh,
were they
very
all
nasty.
nasty? Were
I
they?
had not all, no. I
No.
had a couple of very nasty ones, which I should say at first maybe I took a little too personally, but then I remembered this book called The Four Agreements,
Yeah.
about how you're not supposed to take all these things personally. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to take it personally anymore, because I'm doing it. And as long as I'm doing it, I can move up the line. These people have never tried. I don't know what they're doing, right? And I don't care, because I have now a philosophy: love me or leave me.
Yeah.
It's your
Yeah.
choice.
It's easy for someone to sit behind a keyboard and start trashing
Criticize.
somebody, but it's not easy to be sitting in front of the camera and doing what you were doing. So good for
No,
you.
it's not. And then I was calling my videographers, who I couldn't even see, because we were in lockdowns and stuff like that. And I'm calling them saying, please tell me what to do. I don't know. Can you please walk me through this, right? Even the simplest of little things like having a table behind this setup with your teleprompter, right? And I have a smaller teleprompter, like a tabletop one and a big one. And you have to stack the books up a certain way. Then you got to stack this up too with the phone books underneath it. And I have to save old phone books because I don't even produce some phone books like that anymore. And they would tell me, this is how you do. Now you have to slant it. And I would take their advice and I would try it out, right? And then I would test it. I'd go to Zoom and do a test before I actually did the interview. And slowly but surely it came together. That was a lot of extra time, and it was also a lot of extra responsibility on me. Like I said a few minutes ago, I was used to just sitting in a chair and doing it. Right now, I'm wardrobe, I'm hair, I'm makeup, I'm setup, tear down, lighting, like videographer, like everything. And once I got it captured on Zoom, I would save the file. And I'm going to be honest with you, I screwed that up too. Right in the beginning, I didn't save it right, and I actually lost one of my interviews, and I had to do it again.
Yeah.
How embarrassing is that, guys? I got to go back to the interviewee. I need to redo your interview, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like,
Been there.
and you know what? Thank God they were very understanding about it. Stuff happens. And so, and yes, I had that. I was also pressured because I had that standard I wanted to live up to, which I had to just kind of let go of a little bit. But I am a stickler for detail, and I am an overachiever, and I do want everything to look perfect all the time. But I did have to let go of that a little bit. Um, and then, I would be having like a little panic attacks because I'm trying to make everything perfect and get it all set up properly and not screw up. We learn when we make mistakes,
Yeah.
and people are forgiving. They understand, like, they're stressed too, they're in situations similar to our own, right? So, but like, you make a good point. We see the finished product, but we don't see all the time and effort and energy that goes into making a show,
Yeah.
planning a show,
Yeah.
uh, uh looking up my guest and like researching them to actually prepare excellent interview questions. I do all of that ahead of time. And it's a lot of work. It is. But I like the finished product. And I like the fact that when I'm very well prepared for an interview, it's going to go a certain way. And I always make sure that those key points really get out. And for me, that's very important, especially like, you have to remember, I'm interviewing some very high end people, including top name celebrities
Yeah.
who are engaging with me now on Zoom, right? So you do want to make sure you're professional and all of that, because they're in the business. They may understand a little bit more about the glitches and the technical part, but they're still pretty high caliber people, right? So you want to meet them on their level, right? That was really my goal, right?
Well,
So
yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about that. So now, in every industry, there's people that are like high level, we'll say, right? And so, if you want to play at that level, well, eventually you're going to have to meet them and start to interview them. And you've have experience with like meeting these people, and I imagine that it's probably at the very beginning quite intimidating to meet some of these people. Like, how do you, number one, connect with them and get them to agree to be on your show? And then also, how do you handle their nuances, I guess?
okay, so let's answer the first part first. How do I meet them? Well, one way was through the live events like TIFF. But when that wasn't happening and they weren't coming to Toronto as much, it became increasingly difficult to get these celebrity interviews. So we have to, and I say we because I have people on my team that work with me to do this, we have to approach them through their PR people. And so there's some research there too. You got to find out who the PR person is. You got to prepare a pitch letter to ask them to be a guest on the show. And then you've got to coordinate the logistics. And so we also, and I'm going to be perfectly candid with you, we encountered a lot of no's. And the reason is that a lot of these celebrities weren't really doing anything. They didn't have the big movie to promote or the
Yeah.
new series. And then a lot of them had gone to Netflix and Amazon, right? Because that's sort of where it's at today. So I made a decision that we were going to focus on on the Netflix and Amazon shows because it would be easier to get because they had something to hawk basically, right? So we did that and then we went to other people. They said no, they gave us the runaround. We've gone back. You have to have a pretty strong nerves in this business, right? You can't let them go be taken personally too much. So you're going to see a lot of no's, right? That is the name of the game. Even in PR itself, when you're pitching to the media, you get a lot of yeses if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you're probably going to get a lot of no's. So we just, and you know what? We went with it. We took what we could get. And I still came out of season 10 with over 30 episodes, right? For a year. I think it was closer to actually 40 or 50 or something like that.
Wow.
So, I mean, considering it was a pandemic and everything, and I couldn't get what I normally get, we didn't do half bad, right? And also, I think showing them who I am, right? Maybe they don't know me, but when they see what I've achieved on my own, because I send them the documents to go through, right? Like I have a celebrity list of all the people I've previously interviewed. I send them a link to my YouTube channel. They see how many views I'm getting per episode. They see how much my channel has grown. They see that I started a podcast in literally when the pandemic came out. It's not even 2 years and I'm already getting 15,000 downloads, or sorry, 1,500 downloads, 1,500. And I write them a little bit about me so they understand where I'm coming from, right? And you know what? Some of them, they're very supportive because believe it or not, my journey is very similar to actors who started with nothing and are now a big name, right? So they see what I go through. They know it. They felt it. They've been there. They've experienced it. They've lived it. And they have a certain respect. So in that regard, if they embrace me, they are happy to be interviewed by me. And one of the comments, and I'm not saying this to sound egotistical, is that I'm very well prepared and I give a darn good interview.
Nice.
And they're like, yeah, you really give a very good interview. One of the best. I mean, like Canadian author Rebecca Eckler, who's been on my show twice, the last time she came, she wrote me this incredible testimonial about how I know when to ask the question and when to let them answer and when to come back. And it's just like she said, I'm in her words, you're just so darn good, you know? So they see that and they appreciate it and they respect it. If they don't and they think, sorry, I'm not coming to you because you're not as big as Jimmy Fallon or Late Night with James. Uh,
Gordon, I think.
yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. Then they're not coming to me. What can I do, right? All I can do is ask. The worst they're going to do is say no.
Yep. Wow. Okay. So unpacking that. Number one, got to find out who their PR person is because they're not answering emails themselves. Second is you got to figure out what it is, if there's something that they can get out of this. So if there's something that they're promoting coming up or anything like that, a reason for them to be on your show. And then the third, be authentic, tell your story. Hopefully they connect with you.
Yes, and let them see what you're capable of.
Right on. Okay. Very good answer, by the way, on that. Now, one other question about, maybe mentorship and leadership and all that stuff. Like, did you have coaches and mentors going through this process? Like,
Oh
how
my
did you
God.
get here?
Okay, so I never had any like media centric coaches or anything like that. That's all me. I learned that myself and I studied it. Um, I did have, and I still do have marketing coaches, business coaches. And I can't even begin to tell you how much money I've put into that. A ton. But I needed help, right? Because I'm trying to run a business. I got to grow it. I got to make money. And things, not everything was working. And even though I come from a business family and have a very strong business acumen, I still couldn't 100% because I grew up in a family that was in the clothing business, and my mom was a makeup artist. They were selling tangibles items, right? I sell an intangible item. So as much as they try to help me, they couldn't fully help me. So I had to search out people who could help me. And I had to, like I said, find a way to make this, to monetize this, to make money. And, we had to monetize a YouTube channel. And then I had to think, well, how can I make money? Like, I need to get a revenue model going. So I did with my mentoring, my sponsorship, and this sort of thing. And then also I looked at the YouTube channel. I thought, well, is there a way that we could add some other things that may not make a ton of money, but sometimes a lot of little things add up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I added a Patreon link, and I added merch like the Janette's TV and Janette's TV podcast. We got t-shirts and sweatshirts, and you can choose in your color and your size, and you have either a choice of the t-shirt with the logo and the tagline, which is your life your way, or you can get it with an inspirational saying made by me and one of my guests in a previous segment or previous episode. And then, it just gets shipped straight to your door. So you don't even have to go out, maybe just to your front door to get it, right? So I was always looking for add ons. Like, what can I do? What can I give? What can I add? And also to add value, right? Because like I have a whole other division with that media mentoring and training. I have a media mentoring training e-zine that you can visit www.janetteburke.com and get signed up for free. We give you advice on marketing, branding, media, speaking. And also when you sign up right now, you get a special gift, which is a downloadable my do's and don'ts of what to do on camera and stage, which will help you get ready even from what you're choosing to wear.
yeah.
So I have that. Then I have another sign up, which is for the Janette's TV and podcast show notice, center stage show notice, which just, advertises the show and who's on it for this week and that sort of thing, and um I do a lot of master classes, some of which are free. Like yesterday, I did one in my Facebook group on the Janette's Media Mentoring and Training Facebook group. I'm doing an upcoming one on Wednesday with Bright. If you haven't heard of Bright, Bright is a new platform started by Ashton Kutcher. I passed the audition and I'm one of their presenters.
Great.
So Wednesday, I'm giving my third Bright um, masterclass on non-verbal cues, what your body language says about you, which is really important to how you present yourself when you're doing media speaking or even making videos for your business. It's a mere $15 to attend, and the tickets you can go and register on Bright or on my website to get them. And we have a lot of publicity out about that and promotion to go and get that. And so, I just try different things, lots of different things. And when it doesn't work, I reevaluate it or I scrap it and I go
Yep.
to something else.
And you're
And
not
that's
afraid
what
to ask for help.
never been afraid to ask for help and never been afraid to pay for help, right? Because sometimes you need that. Um, I realize as an entrepreneur, a lot of what we do, particularly in marketing, is trial and error. It is, right? So it is what it is. And if one thing doesn't work, try another, right?
Absolutely.
Uh, and I'm also a believer in maybe like not doing everything, like spreading yourself too thin. Choose a couple of strategies, three or four, that are working for you and repeat them over and over and over again, because that's
Great.
probably where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck and the most success.
Great. So it's time for your guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business.
I guess so. What's exciting? Okay, so right now I'm super jazzed about a new offer that I've just introduced in the past week or so. And it's called Janette's Sponsor Spotlight Package. And this is an amazing opportunity for the right people who want to gain awareness, gain uh, recognition, and gain reach. And it's a really great package on its own. It's a sponsorship package, so you will be a sponsor of Janette's TV and podcast. And as I alluded to a little earlier, it comes with a lot of things. You get an episode, you get on the podcast and the show, you get brought to you by credit, you get a commercial in there for 1 minute, you get um help for me writing your commercial. Like I'll give you a template to start and then I'll massage it over with you for 30 minutes. You get to be promoted to over 5 million people. You get to have a 30-day promotional period. And that is amazing because, as you know, in most cases when a person's going to be on any form of media, including podcast shows, it's like, yeah, a tiny little introduction, you do the interview, a little bit of promotion, and it's on to the next day. I actually, with my team, make you news for more than a day, and that's really important. And then we do like a full follow-up visibility report showing you all your views, all the downloads, all the, and we do a 1 hour consultation with you afterwards with me to learn 8 additional strategies to keep using the tools and the training that I give you, and a whole bunch more. Like I'm just really just scratching the
Yeah.
surface here.
Yeah.
But it really is a good package, and there's some bonuses and add-ons too, and you can add some media training in there too, because I do have a one-to-one offer for that, and you would just take a couple of hours, let's say, add that on. And I'm really a stickler for that media training because I know in my heart, having been in this business for so long on both sides, starting as a publicist, now as a media personality, mentor, trainer, you need media training. Everybody needs some form of media training. It's very rare that anyone can go on a camera or stage and really ace it out without knowing how to digest their marketing message and get at those key points and talk in sound bites, and also the nonverbal cues, the breathing, the voice techniques, the image, the wardrobe, the tonality, all of it. That's what makes or breaks you as a desirable media guest and speaker on world stages, one that gets invited back over and over and over again and can embark on a media and speaking tour consistently and consistently make media and speaking part of your marketing, which you want to do because it's still the best and fastest way to grow any business, even over social media, and draw the attention of your dream clients and other opportunities. And you don't want to waste those opportunities. You don't want to be misquoted, put on the spot, taken out of context. So I want to work with people who are serious about that, and they can have the media training, and then they can have the sponsor spotlight package as a kind of the first stop on their media tour. Let it be Janette's TV and Janette's TV podcast. And let me give you an opportunity to showcase the training that I gave you. And then at the same time, while you're being on my show, I'm making you a demo, really, that you can use to go forward with more speaking and media placements. And I'm doing this all in a safe, comfortable environment.
Wow. That is incredible. And anybody would be able to use that, really. Now, how do we find out more about it then?
Okay, so couple ways. I'm so glad you asked. Okay, and I assume you're gonna put the link somewhere in here. It's
Sure will.
go to visit. Thanks. We go to visit www.Janette, which is spelled Janette Burke, Burke, JanetteBurke.com. Go there. There's a section called Work with Janette. It has my offers, the Academy, which is sold out until the new year, the one-to-one media mentoring the sponsor spotlight offer. Okay. And they are intertwinable. So you can get some more information there. And you can book right there on the sponsorship page. The sponsor spotlight package page is a you can book to have a call with me about it. And you can go under book time with Janette and book a discovery call there too that's free. So personally, I do want to have a conversation with you, because we need to assess if we're a fit.
Mhm.
Meaning, not everybody is a fit for my show. We're a lifestyle show. We do cover products and messages and what have you that serve our audience, make their life better in some way. And I am choosy or selective, because I have a coveted audience that does not want to hear an infomercial. And
Yeah.
that's another reason why I'm a big stickler of media training, to make sure that there's actually a story and something to it before they go straight for the kill, and
Yeah.
we do, like you, give you the shameless promotion
Yeah.
part, but I want the story first.
Love it. Thank
I
you.
call it tell then sell.
Exactly. Thank you so much for rocking out with me today, Jeanette. This has been a
Oh,
lot of
thank
fun.
you, Tim. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Awesome. To listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast.